Talking VanGold Mining Corp today. VanGold Mining Corp trades as VGLD on the Toronto Venture Exchange, as they've been in the news lately, raising some money to acquire the El Cubo mine from Endeavour Silver Corp. Here to run through the details, CEO James Anderson. Hey, James, appreciate the time. It's certainly been a while. Happy New Year. I want to break down the deal here with the El Cubo mine and raising a few bucks. But before we do, maybe let's talk about how you ended 2020, and it was a pretty good year for the company.
Well, 2020 was a remarkably good year for the company. Starting off from the stock perspective, after a very long halt and getting the company back on its feet again, we raised some money, paid off some debts, took our project in central Mexico, in near Guanajuato, Mexico. It's a past producing silver and gold mine. That was producing about 110 years ago, and the company that was producing it very successfully back then was actually listed on the New York and Boston stock exchanges. So it was a pretty big deal way back then. What we did in June was we sent 1,000 tons of material from our property to a local mill as a bulk sample, and that really started to snowball a whole bunch of very positive things for us. People got very excited about not only the surface stockpile material that we have, but underground stockpile material that allowed us to raise even more money. We did a bunch of sampling underground of old in situ vein material, stuff that maybe wasn't good enough for this was the highest grade mine in the Guanajuato area 110 years ago. So stuff that maybe wasn't high enough grade for those guys back then, it's very good grade for us. And we released those results in October and November. And people were excited about where we were going to try and monetize some of this stockpile material that we've got on this property. And then in December, after 3 or 4 months of negotiation and due diligence, we announced that we were going to purchase the El Cubo mine and mill. El Cubo has been owned for a number of years by Endeavour Silver Corporation. We're going to pay $15 million for the mine, the mill, the resource that's got about 500,000 tons of material, very good grade silver and gold material in all categories, and 7,000 hectares of prospective ground in this 480-year-old mining camp. So it's very exciting for us to be able to put our mine project in play along with a second mining project that's only 8 kilometers by road away from each other. And we will be, at least pro forma, this is what we're attempting to do, we'll be putting material through that mill that was operating until just 14 months ago, okay? But we've got to refurbish it a little bit, and we'll be putting material through that mill by July or August. And we will be Canada's and Mexico's newest gold and silver producer.
Well, certainly a lot going on for the company here. So investors are probably going to ask themselves, how do they make money with VanGold? Once you lay that part of it out for them.
Well, I think there's been a lot of smart investors that have told me over the years that money is always made in the buying, and whether you buy something astutely. And I think that for a number of different reasons, we are buying El Cubo astutely. We can afford to pay more for it than just about anyone else because of the material, the mineralized material that exists on the property that we own right now, and we can deliver to that mill. But it's a 1,500 ton a day mill. As I mentioned, it was operating by Endeavour up until November of 2019, so we'll call it 14 months ago now. But the last time that this asset changed hands was in 2012. And Endeavour Silver paid $200 million for this asset. They paid $100 million in cash and $100 million in shares, US dollars. So although I think it would be fair to say that Endeavour perhaps paid a little bit too much money for the asset at that time, I think it's just as inarguable that we're not getting a fantastic deal on the project as it is. And I can tell you a little bit, Rob, about what some of Endeavour's challenges were. They bought this operation in 2012. They then spent a fair bit of money on it to expand it. And I have an enormous amount of respect for the folks at Endeavor. Their company is a $1 billion enterprise now, so it's it's bigger than a bread box. But people make mistakes, and mistakes are often easiest seen in hindsight. They were trying to expand the operation, which that always seems like a good idea, and they were going to run 1,500 tons of material through it per day. But the mine itself, the vein system, this high grade silver and gold epithermal vein system that exists there, very typical central Mexican kind of project. The veins are 1.5 meters wide. Sometimes they might swell to 2.5 meters, but not very often. Because they had expanded the project so much, they really needed to mine more material in order to put it through at a higher rate. So they were mining a lot of these veins at 4-meter stopes. So that all sounds good because you're mining at a higher rate and you're putting more material through the mill. But all you're really doing is putting more dilution through that operation. You're not really capturing any more silver and gold. So especially in a $16, $15, $14 silver environment, it was having a very tough time kind of making ends meet. They don't feel even if they shrink the output size of that mill, that it can really make an impact on their billion-dollar company. For us, we are going to run that mill not at 1,500 tons a day, but at 750 tons a day. We will take material from El Cubo, but we'll also take material from Pinguico, from the mine that we currently own. They're only 8 kilometers, so call it 5 miles by road, maybe only 3 miles in a straight line from each other. So it's always a good idea, in my estimation, in the mining business, if you can have 2 mines and feed 1 central processing facility. That's what we will do. And we will have ample material from both places to be able to run the thing at 750 tons a day. There's bigger mining companies out there who would say, well, that's kind of smallish, we're not interested. I don't care about size, I care about profitability. And this will be almost right from the get-go, a profitable operation where we've got enough material that we can see right now where we can send 750 tons a day through the mill and be in a position where we can develop more and more material from both of those properties going forward.
So what are the real next steps from here, James?
Well, there's, the way that I rattled it off, it sounds easy. There's a lot of things to do. First thing is to complete the acquisition of the thing from Endeavor. So we've signed an LOI with them that was announced on the 23rd of December. We're in the process of creating a binding, finalized legal document. So all of the lawyers are working on that. We have to finance it. So on the I think I might have said 23rd of December. That was something different. It was the 18th of December that we announced this. In that news release on the 18th of December, we also announced that we had come to terms with a European silver and gold lending agency. So we will borrow $7.5 million from them and repay that in silver and gold. And then on the 23rd, we announced an equity transaction, which we have upsized twice. One of those upsizes was just this morning, that we announced that we had increased the size of the equity raise that we're doing to 14.5 million Canadian dollars. So I haven't done that calculation. Maybe it's 11 million US, something like that. So the interest in the private placement and the equity component has been outstanding. So we will close on that financing contemporaneously with closing the agreement with Endeavor. And then we've probably got 4 to 6 months in front of us of refurbishing that mill. So, I mean, I was there for 3.5 weeks in November, and the mill's in very good shape. But I like to tell people that it's like having a Pontiac in the garage for 14 months. And I say Pontiac because the thing was never a Mercedes. And if that Pontiac's sitting around for 14 months, you want to change belts and hoses. I guess if it's a car, it's tires and spark plugs before you take it out on the road. So we're gonna need hoses and belts and um, all kinds of different small filters, of all shapes and sizes, new liners in the ball mills, stuff like that. But all of the component parts exist. They're in good shape. And, we hope to be having it up and operating by July or August.
Okay, well, appreciate that update. Again, that's CEO James Anderson. That's VanGold Mining Corp, VGLD on the Toronto Venture Exchange. James, appreciate that again. We'll look forward to checking back in when you get that capital raised and get a progress report on El Cubo.
Okay, thanks so much for the opportunity, Rob. I'll see you soon.